Hi everybody, I'm Vanessa Kim. Thanks for joining me today. You probably haven't seen me doing a fashion video for a little while, and that's because I've been doing philosophy videos, and I've done about 30 of them, but I'm now moving back into the direction of my styling because I've got that out of the way. These were videos that I really wanted to do after completing my Masters of Arts in Philosophy. And now I feel like I can go back to just relaxing and doing my styling. I wouldn't bother to even do styling videos if I didn't think I could add something to what's out there in the field of style. And that is because what's the point? I don't want to repeat anything that other people are doing. I mean, of course, we do learn from one another, and of course there's some comparisons there of what I'm talking about, because what I want to talk about more is essences, and I want to still revert back to Kibbe's lines, Zyla's colours and so on. But I wanted to do something that talks more about essences in a much more detailed way, more than I think is being done. I see videos being done, maybe 1 or 2 videos being done by all of the fantastic stylists out there, but I don't feel like we've concentrated enough on it. Now, our fashion garden does really good work on essences, and of course Kitchener is where the basis of the essences have come from. And then, David Kibbe's work, of course, also brings into play essences, although they're really based on your lines. Now, at one point, David Kibbe used to think that essences and lines were not something separate. If you were a soft dramatic, then you had long lines and you were curvy. And then the clothes that you'd wear would be longer lines, and then there'd be some sort of curviness to them, like a wrap dress or something like that, which would then emphasize the bust and the hips and the waist, and then it would also have a longer line, so it wasn't like a short dress. But now, since that original book, Metamorphosis, he's not saying not to wear your lines, but he's saying you could fill in those lines in any way that you want. Imagine a colour-in book. And so you've got the lines there of the outline or the silhouette, and then you're dressing to those lines. In other words, you're keeping in the lines with your colouring in, but you can then put bows or stripes or, whatever you want inside that drawing that you're colouring in. And so same goes for you. You can put bows or stripes or whatever you want as your style, as long as you're keeping to your lines. Now, I think to some extent that's true, and we do want our systems to be less rigid. We want them to be able to pick up on who we are and not be something that's going to force us to wear a certain type of style if we really dislike it. So that's one thing, but I think that there's no getting away from the fact that certain lines definitely do push us into certain styles. Now, let me give you an example. So if we're taking this idea of essences and we say, right, I'm not going to have my essences as, I'm not taking into account my essences the way Kitchener does. I'm not looking at them in terms of being rigid physical features and maybe a few personality features. I am looking at them in terms of just truly my soul, my spirit, of what I love, what makes me happy. Now, if you do that, then you may come up with some things where you've been influenced through your family life, through your work life, just generally things that have happened in your life have sort of directed you towards a particular way that you want to see yourself. But it also could just be some sort of inner knowing that you have. And going back to my philosophy, Plato, it's all about remembering the perfect form. So that there are perfect forms out there, and let's assume you're a perfect form, but it's about you remembering what this perfect form is. It's about you recalling who you really are. So if you take, for example, a soft dramatic. A soft dramatic's got the long lines and also the curves. So now if you're just dressing according to those Kibbe lines, you might have something like a wrap dress on, which shows the waist, emphasizes the bust, the slimmer hips, and the longer line. And so it's not going to be a short dress. So you're wearing this, and this is going to obviously emphasize the physical features that you have. But now let's say you say, well, I'm not going to go off my physical features for my essences. I'm going to basically just say what it is that truly makes me happy. Now let's say, and this is not the case for me actually, but let's say I was very much a person that loved playfulness, loved really cute things, really enjoyed little trinkets, loved bows and lace and sweet little things. I sometimes don't mind lace, but you know, if you just think about what, let's say, our fashion garden or Kitchener refers to as ingenue, you know, you're going to have this really sweet, cute little girl that likes these cutesy things. Now, if you can imagine putting that on me, it's just going to look so off. It's just going to look like I'm trying to be a little girl, but I'm not, because I'm very womanly with my curves and my length is imposing. Now, I'm 5'7", but I've got an imposing stature. There's my little doggy Lily. So you can imagine putting little bows on me, little sweet polka dots and so on. It's, you know, me putting a little doll onto my purse here and things like that. It's just going to look very, very off for me. But now let's say that was really what I was feeling in myself, and that's what I felt I was. So I think there's work to be done on that, because one would need to sort of look a lot more deeper at why this is coming up for you. You know, is this something that the soul is calling for you to recognize about yourself? Or is it something that through your childhood, through your family life, maybe in your relationship right now, you just want to be the child? You know, you missed out on your childhood maybe. Maybe you had so many responsibilities as a child. Maybe you ended up looking after your mum or dad or your grandparents, or maybe, you know, your brother or sister came along that was the baby of the family, and then you ended up losing that status, and you didn't want to lose that status. You got more attention being the child. So there's so many things that could have happened in your childhood and in your life that got you to start thinking that this is what I want to be. You know, I want to be childlike. So I think what this series of videos is going to be about is to start asking questions like this of you, and then to see if it still persists as a soul thing, because this series is called Soul Essences, and if it keeps persisting, then we've got to work out how we're going to portray this about ourselves in a way that still works with what we've been created with, which is our physical reality of our physical bodies, right? And so, of course, if you just want to completely deny your physical self and just go with the spiritual or the notions that you have in terms of your essences, and you just want to wear that, and you've got no regard whatsoever for your physical lines, and you don't care, that's absolutely fine, right? You just go ahead and do it, because somewhere along the line, that will just be what you're presenting and your expression to the world, and it will be important. Or you'll come along and go, you know what, I'm feeling a bit off. I don't know why, but and it's not even about what other people think of you, but if people don't sense that this is truly you, people also have a sixth sense about you. And when you are hanging around them, let's say you're a mum and you're with other mums, but you're dressing like a little child, the other people around you are going to go, you know what, that's just doesn't seem to be congruent with her. There's something incongruent here. And so you may not get that kind of response from other people that you're wanting as well, because we all want to connect, and we want to connect authentically. So other people might be picking that up about you as well. And so our soul essence isn't really, we're not just living in a vacuum, we are around other people as well. Our husband or partner or someone might also be thinking, gee, you know, why are you acting like a little kid all the time? You know, maybe take some responsibility for this or that. Or maybe they'd think, oh, I can understand why you need this at the moment, because you've got so much responsibility that this is like your little outlet of where you feel when you're dressing, you can actually be more young and free and so on. So there's so much to this, but this at least will just get you thinking about essences and your soul essence and how to be authentic within yourself, and how, you know, you can also match that with your physical body. So thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next few days for the next one. Take care. Bye.